fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons. Like diamonds, we are back. This is going to be a good one, a very unique one. A while back, I did kind of more of a business type of a podcast. This was probably a year ago, and it was really a message to guides, to fishing guides, about how to grow a business, how to stand out, how to be unique, how to make an impact, how to have a cool mission, not just putting people on fish, because that part is cool. But I talked a lot about creating memories and experiences, and this gentleman here today is kind of taking it to the next level, which I absolutely love. And I don't know the whole story, so I'm just as curious as you are. And I heard this word that he had said and someone else had said about bucket list trips, and almost kind of becoming like a life coach to people who maybe going through a really tough time or maybe don't have that much time to live. I know we'll talk about a couple of different examples here today, I'm sure. And I thought that was just so cool that he's been able to kind of marry fishing with life. And that's really, you know, a big part of what we're doing here at Salt Strong is it's not just about fishing, right? I mean, it is so much more than just being on the water and catching fish. That part is really awesome, but doggone, there is so much more, especially during the crazy times we're living in. So Captain Danny, what's up, brother?
How are you? I'm glad you gave me the call. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you on the podcast. And tell everyone real quick, your company, your charter is Connection Charters, is that right?
Connection Charters, correct. So
Okay.
It can be found on Facebook and also under Daniel Logue. Direct you to both sites.
All right. So how did all this happen? Like, quick backstory, like how did you get into fishing? How did you become a captain? How did you end up there in Florida?
Okay. It's a long story, but I'll make it as short as possible. I grew up on a tributary creek in New Jersey that went to the Delaware River, so that was my home grounds. I went right out my back door, and I was on that creek every day. Since the age of 8, I was always on the water. So just explored the creek, catching turtles and frogs and fish and all that neat stuff. And that was basically my church, my place to be all the time, through winters and the whole 9 yards, summers, everything was there. And the boating end of it, my first boat, believe it or not, was a cement mixing tub that somebody had thrown in the creek and floated up against the bank where I lived. And I got in it and started pulling around with a big tree limb. So sort of like a Tom Sawyer kind of thing, just poking around in the middle of nowhere and having a good time in that little boat. So that's how I got started on the water end with boats.
Did you ever catch a fish out of it?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I did. I used to make a spear and just go around stabbing carp all the time and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Caught a lot of turtles with it. Would jump out and, track them down through the mud and then throw the turtles in the thing and tow it down the creek with me with a rope. It was a lot of fun. It really was. And that brought my arrivals to nature on a major level, what was out there, what was available, what you could connect into as far as how this went together, that went together. All the patterns started emerging for me. So it still is a fascinating place for me. It never ends, It's very helpful for everybody to be out there. It really, truly is.
Yeah. Did you ever read that? Did you ever read that book called Last Child in the Woods?
No, I have not.
Oh man, yeah, must read. And sorry to interrupt that, but it is a must read. I've talked about it before on the podcast, and it's everything you're talking about. It's like especially kids these days, because that does set up a lot of your habits. And even overall happiness and understanding of nature and the world this is basically a scientist who's just dedicated his life to studying what happens when kids spend time outdoors and what happens when they don't spend time outdoors and how it affects them over decades. It's a really fascinating book. So,
know what? I just wrote it down. I will definitely look into it. I can tell you just from experience of seeing people on my boat or just being with me, because I've always been a guide since I was 12 years old, but I just see people completely change when I go out there.
Mm.
I mean, you see them for the first half hour, 45 minutes or so with fishing, and next thing you know, they are just in another world completely, and they just totally relax and just forget about everything that has gone around them in the outside world.
Mm.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It really, truly is. It's very therapeutic. I mean, if I'm not out there a lot, I think you can relate as well. It winds you up. You know, life winds you up too much. You got to get out there. It has a way of soothing you in ways that are undescribable to me.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. For sure.
I agree. So what happened next? How did you end up making your way down here? And did you end up doing a normal job before this all happened?
No, I was in, long story short, I was in contracting forever to facilitate my other hobbies, which were fishing, hunting, and racing motorcycles, which is another thing entirely. But, you know, the construction allowed me to make the money, stay in shape, and still be in nature all the time. So I could fit my schedule so I could be on the water or be in the woods as much as possible and still make a decent living.
Cool.
From that point, I was a guide since 12. My father left all the duties up to me, so I took care of everything on the duck hunting or fishing end of stuff, rods, reels, lures, finding fish, finding ducks, all that kind of thing. That was my job. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Still love it. I mean, it's too much fun. People say it's a lot of work. It really isn't. When you like it that much, it can be overwhelming at times, but it's holistic for me. Just being prepared, being ready, knowing there's another venture out there, knowing that somebody else is going to get a piece of this and they're going to say, man, I've been missing this for a long time. Mm. So that's how the guiding got started. I've been guiding all over New Jersey before I moved down here, from Delaware River all the way up to Raritan Bay, all the way through Delaware Bay, all the way up the coastline, all the inland waters, a lot of lakes and stuff like that. Lake Champlain, Saranac, Lake Placid, I was out there for a while. Long story short, how I got to Florida was Jersey got to be too regulated for me. The fishing wasn't that good. And we decided to make a change. So we decided Florida would be the best bet. Great waters, which you know. Fantastic opportunity for fishing, 24/7 if you like. And a slower pace of life, which is what I was looking for. So that's kind of how we got here.
Cool. And what city, what area?
I am in Rotunda West. I'm literally right next to Placida. And I fished the Mayaca Rivers, Charlotte Harbor, and Boca Sound, all the way up to Lemon Bay. So I cover all that, which is way more than enough. Fantastic fishery, which I'm sure you know. Yeah, so we're here right now. We're going to build a home in Port Charlotte. We acquired land, and going to build a home here. And this is our home base. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to, hopefully, if God has everything planned out right, this is where I'll finish up my duties here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's very exciting.
So how did this whole bucket list, I'm calling you the bucket list fishing guy, like in the counseling in this connection, because, you know, not many people market themselves that way, right? I mean, you might be the only person I've heard of. So how did this come about?
Okay. So there's a long story with this, but I'm very, I'll put it at that. I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. I believe in the universe. I believe in connections. I believe that everybody has a place, purpose, and thing to do in life. Whether other people believe it or not, I don't know, but it seems to be that way for me. So I went into a doctor's office to get blood work and got the blood work done. And the lady asked me, what do you do for a living? You didn't put in here what you do for a living. And I said, I'm a charter captain. I take people fishing. And she looked at me. She goes, my husband would love to do that. And I said, well, give me his number. Let's get him out there. She goes, he won't do it. He's too stubborn, blah, blah, blah. Well, I worked on this guy for about a week on the phone because he really wanted to do it, but he was just a workaholic. Right. So I went back the following week, and she said, he won't do it. I said, I'm going to call him again, and he's going to go with me. I was determined to get this man on my boat. So we set up a trip and everything, and I go back the following week for another checkup, and I said, how's Ted doing? And she goes, he has 3 months to live. And I almost hit the floor.
Whoa. And
then I knew right then and there that we had to get him out on the boat. I mean, we had to. And that got the whole thing going. I literally knocked down the doors to get to him. We set up a trip. We went out 3 or 4 times together, became good friends. Unfortunately, he just passed a few weeks ago. But it was probably one of the most profound experiences I had, because I got to know a man that never got to do this. And he just couldn't believe that this existed. He just couldn't believe it. I said, yeah. I said, it's out here. I said, it's all about, being out here. Because I missed all this. Because I worked all the time. So I hope people will take that in mind while we're talking here, that, life's not all about making a bunch of money. I know you have to. But it's about taking care of yourself. This is what this is all about, is taking care of yourself, whatever level that might be. I'm talking about the whole piece. I'm not talking about just making money. And you want to take care of your spiritual health. You want to take care of your mental health and your physical health.
Yep.
It's got to be in balance. And if you don't do that, you're going to get sick. On some level, you're going to get sick through whatever happens. It will happen. So I just implore everybody out there just to take care of yourselves. Whether you go out on a boat or something like that, try to get in nature. It doesn't have to be with me. It could be with another captain. It could be hiking, whatever it is. Get out there. Make sure you get out there. It's so replenishing. That's the best word I can tell you. It'll just bring you back down to where you need to be.
Wow.
So that's how this whole thing goes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
No, yeah, that's fascinating. So what made you go out of your way to call this guy? I've been to a doctor's office, and I've had a casual talk with the nurse or the front office person, and that it sounds like, I don't know, were you called to do that? Was just like a weird feeling, hey, I'm going to reach out to this guy and hound him, and it's just crazy how all that transpired. Where all of a sudden he found out after you talked to him that he had 3 months to live, or he already knew that. I'm trying to fill in the gaps.
No, okay, to fill in the gap. I was compelled to call him. It's part of my marketing strategy. I bring people out, especially if somebody's never been out there before. I am so eager to get people out there that have never been out there before, because what I love about the whole thing, really and truly, is I get to see the transformation. I get to see people with tears in their eyes going, my God, I didn't know this was here. I had no idea. I mean, you can see manatees and dolphins, and they just don't know. That's probably my compelling reason, is just so you can understand that there's a bigger picture here. It's not just about the concrete boardwalk that we're on most of the time. So I was just compelled to call him, and she was adamant about he would absolutely love it, but he won't do it. She goes, it's on his list to get done, but he just won't do it. And I'm like, yeah, well, we'll change that. I just got stubborn with it, and that's how it transformed. And that's how it began. So people that come out with me, I look at them in the eyes, and I can just see that they need this. I can't explain it to each other. I just can see it. And it's like, you need to step out. And the problem is, our biggest deterrent to all this, it's going to sound kind of wild, but is ourselves. We fight ourselves, and it's pointless. The little voice inside your head saying, I can't do this. I got the yard to mow. I got this to do. I got to do. Take some time for yourself. Take a few hours. I mean, you come out on the boat with me, it's 4 hours. It's not the end of the earth, right? 4 hours is nothing. Forget about the lawn. Forget about the to-do list of taking care of the truck or whatever. Come out on the water. Doesn't have to be with me. Again, it can be with anybody. Get out there. Go take care of yourself. That's what this is all about, taking care of yourself. We catch fish. We have fun. We pet manatees. You see all that kind of stuff, and that's all a big piece of it, right? But the biggest piece is taking care of yourself.
So
it's transformative for me. It just truly is.
So what did
I can't right now.
I'm sorry, man, a little bit of delay there. So what did fishing with this guy Ted? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, just what we spoke about. You're going to love this. I asked him why he worked. We developed a relationship, and I asked him why he worked so much. And here, as a child, they tried to kick him out of school because he had a learning disability. He was getting the answers correct, but he was getting them in a different way than everybody else was doing in class. So the teachers did not like it at the time when he was a young man. So they literally brought his parents in and told him that he doesn't belong in school. He finished school anyway. He graduated and everything. He made a decision from that point, and I'm talking early grade school. From that point, he was going to prove everybody wrong no matter where he went. So all he did was work. Everything he just worked, and just to prove a point that he could do it. And that just took me back. And he looked at me and he goes, I miss so much else. I literally missed so much else because I was just busy working because I was so determined on proving somebody wrong 40 years ago. So it caused me to reflect and ask questions on what are people's motives? Why do they do the things they do? When there's so much more out there. Now I had a bigger picture because of that. Fantastic man. What a great guy. We had a ball. I mean, we fished, I think 3 or 4 times together before he passed, and we had a ball. And he went out and bought fishing tackle. He went right to the store. He bought everything. He said, give me a list. He goes, I got to do this. I got to do that. And to me, that's like a Christmas present to me. So that's how it got started.
That's cool. And so tell us some other stories in terms of, kind of how this is all transpiring and how you're attracting people in this kind of unique. I mean, like, do people know, like, before they go on your boat that you're more of the connection? Like, I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. Like, are you getting like referrals from people saying, hey, like, if you're just having a tough time or depressed or you have 3 months to live?
Great question. I belong to a network group. I get a lot of referrals from that. And the people do know that, not being egotistical, that they know that I care. They know that I'm not out there just to chase fish around. I'm out there to make sure your well-being is in place. And it's always been my course in life. This has been going on since I was in my early teens. People always come to me for counseling, I guess you would say.
Yep.
It's just a voice of reason would be the best part about it. So people just know. So when I see somebody and I shake their hand and I talk to them and I hand a card, I just tell them, I said, I'm not all about fishing. I said, come on out. I promise you, you will be better off. And they know the message is clear that it's not just about fishing. They just know that I'm sincere. And that's probably the biggest piece. I can't explain it to you. It's more of I'm guided to the people I need to go to, or I'm handed the people that I need to be, that need to be taken care of. So the ones that come, but they procrastinate, I just kind of stick on them a little bit and get them to move. And once they do, they're extremely grateful. So it takes a little perseverance on some levels, and other times it's just that they know when I speak to them, they know I got to go. It's just, I'm not sure if I'm making myself totally clear on that, but that's kind of how it works for me.
I'm still confused on why anyone. I'm sorry, go for it.
No worries at all. I do my normal marketing, but mostly it's about handshaking and being with people. I see them at gas stations, it doesn't matter, whatever, and just strike up a conversation. People, what I see out there in the world is people need, especially in these times, they need people to reach out. They need people to pick up the phone, talk to somebody, say hi, what's going on? It doesn't have to be a huge conversation, but at this point, people are isolated, and most people don't like that. Write a letter to somebody. And so it's about human contact, human spirit. That's what this comes down to, about lifting the human spirit, because the human spirit, once it's lit, can go forever. it can go in many different directions. Hence, connection charters. It goes to one person, to another person, another person, another place, another thing. It all gets put together. That's how it works.
Yeah, I'm still, my mind's boggled on why it would take any convincing to get someone out fishing. But that it is sad that, you know, people are so busy with their lives, and like in this gentleman, there's so many people that I know and have been around that are, you know, all of a sudden, and they like fishing just like this gentleman did, clearly, and all of a sudden a year goes by because they're just too busy with everything going on, which is sad.
Well, it is very sad. You know, here's what I run into. Possibly this could help with Salt Strong as well. Everybody thinks that fishing is, I say everybody, I'm going to use that in my world, using live bait or touching fish, and they don't want to, a lot of people don't want to do that. And then when I explain to them, no. I said, you don't sit there with a bobber and a cork and wait for something to come by. I said, we're highly interactive. I said, we use plastic lures. You don't have to touch anything. You don't have to do anything on my boat. You just come here and I'll show you what to do, and we will have a ball, I promise. And that's how I get my message across. And they just know I'm genuine, you know, so they don't have to worry about the ickiness and the gooiness and the sliminess and all that neat stuff. I got that covered. I make it interactive because a lot of people, they think it's bobber fishing or bottom bouncing kind of fishing, you know, just with a lead weight, and that's not what I do. So I think they need to be educated on that on a major level, a lot of them. And I think a lot would step in if they knew.
Yep. So share some other cool stories that have happened on your boat, you know, some transformations and just, you know, kind of why you're so passionate about, because it is different, right? I mean, the majority of guides are saying, hey, come out with me. You're going to catch a massive bull red, or we're going to catch an inshore slam, or, you know, down where you are, obviously an amazing tarpon fishery. Or, hey, we do really tactical fly fishing. Like, everyone has their own little niche. Yours is definitely different and unique. What keeps you going, I guess, is the big question. What kind of other cool transformation stories have you seen?
What keeps me going is the people that come on my boat are very kind. They're not egotistical or anything. A lot of them want to learn. All right, classic example, I had a lady on my boat. I've been bugging forever, and I finally got her out there with her daughter. And I said, come on, I'm going to take you to this place I know you're going to just absolutely love. I said, you're going to see all these different things. You're going to see tarpon, sharks, manatees, and all that stuff. She goes, well, I never caught a fish before. I said, great. I said, you're going to catch a ton of them, so let's go. Finally got her on the boat. And we go to this place, and we're seeing sharks and tarpon are flying out of the water, and this is going on, that's going on. And she just looked at me. She goes, now I know why you do this for a living. I said, yeah. She watched the sun come up. She's never seen the sun come up on the water. She goes, this is just so magical. I can't believe it. So as the story goes, we're going along. She goes, I've never seen a manatee. I said, Joe, this is the truth, the God's honest truth. I said, well, you're going to see one. They'll show up sooner or later. I said, so we're sitting around, and here comes a manatee. Two of them, actually. Well, one comes up to the back of the boat, and he's looking at us, and I have pictures of it. And he's looking at us, and he would come up, and she goes, can I touch him? I said, probably. So she reaches down, and he sinks down a little bit in the water, and she takes her hand in the water. He comes back up to the surface. She reaches down, he goes back down, and she takes her hand down the water. He comes back up. I said, just relax for a moment. You're not going to hurt him. I said, he knows it. He's just curious, just like you are. And just give him some time to relax and see what happens. And he comes back up, and she gets to pet this manatee on the head. And she's just scratching him on the head like nothing's going on. Now, I know it's happened for other anglers because I've seen it happen, but it was so magical to her, she started crying. And then she caught fish, you know, like a half an hour later after manatee left, she caught a bunch of fish, and she goes, this has just been such a magical experience for me. I just can't believe this. So she's telling everybody about me because she's so excited, and she's coming back out again as soon as we get past this Corona thing. But that's one of the transformations I get to see. There's a lady that never did it before, who's owned a business, a car repair shop, and she hasn't been out there, just boat rides that. She never knew this existed. Now she's in it. Now she wants to do it. Now her daughter's hanging out with us, and she wants to do it. So that's how the firestorm starts, I guess.
That's awesome. And have you had any like true bucket lists, like besides this guy Ted, like anyone else who's kind of been referred that, hey, I don't have much time left?
Yes, I had a guy by the name of Bill who was referred to me about a month ago. He had all kinds of surgeries, heart problems, diabetes, the whole 9 yards, and his health was extremely poor, and he wasn't going to be around much longer. And the fact that his wife had started to get Alzheimer's, so he was having a really tough go. So he got referred to me, and we came out. And he's a man from Michigan. He had 70 acres of land, and he was all about hunting and fishing. Well, the biggest story of that is, yes, it was on one of his last trips. But the biggest thing was people relate to me in a way that they can share their sorrows or their concerns about what the future may hold for them or their family and that kind of thing, because fishing's a small piece of what I do. It's more about getting to know everybody that's out there. So he had a great time. We caught a bunch of fish. I believe it was his last trip. He just got back. He just called me 2 weeks ago. He goes, you know what, Dan? He goes, I can tell you something. He goes, I've been out on trips before here and there. And he goes, I've hunted all over the place. He goes, I cannot get that trip out of my mind. And I don't mean to sound egotistical. This is what he had said to me. He goes, I cannot get that trip out of my mind. He goes, it was just fantastic. He goes, it won't leave my head. So that's the impact that I've always wanted to have. That's the connection I always wanted to make. Because it's heartfelt. I mean, he's a soul on this earth just like everybody. And we'll all have to endure a bunch of stuff on this planet. And if I can make that easier in some way, shape, or form, that's what I do.
And so what's the ultimate goal?
Keep touching people. Keep enlivening the human spirit. Keep people knowing that there's still love alive out there for everyone. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but there's still a ton of love out there, even though people are angry, upset, and tearful right now. Know that your fellow man is going through some circumstance, whether it's equal to yours or not. It could be greater, it could be less, but he's still suffering on some level, some form, which is in some ways not necessary. Just pass around a lot of goodwill to people. Now, I'm going to use a word here that's, I'm just going to put it out there. There's a lot of love to be shared. And it doesn't have to be the gooey kind of love. It's just, just your fellow man, the guy. You look at him with some compassion, just know that he's got stuff too. And it's okay, and you're going to be all right. And try to enjoy what you got, on every level. Just try to enjoy what you got. Try to see a bigger picture, just be yourself a little bit more. We're so guarded now. And you don't really need to be. You really, truly don't. If your heart's open, you won't have to be guarded. You really, truly won't have to be. You'll know who's good and who's not, and you move towards those people that are good for you. So that's pretty much the end goal. Just make sure that everybody's well. How's that? Or on the path to wellness.
Well, at least one person at a time, right? Because it's certainly a lofty goal. But yeah, I'm with you, man. And it's there's so many hurt, and we're all broken people, and we all have hurts and pains and fears and anxiety. Yeah. And it kills me to just see some of the people who take some of that and are lashing it out against people they don't know, especially with social media. I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to connect people. And even right now with this whole virus, right? The fact that, even though like my wife's parents, they're in their 70s and have, maybe some health issues and, don't want to be around a lot of young people, especially like our grandkids right now. But it is so cool that we can still use social media and FaceTime. But yet the curse is that, people get out there and just dump all of their problems and all of their anger and all the hate all over everyone. And then it sometimes spirals out of control. And so I love that. Just keep spreading the love, dude.
Yeah, well, at least I can. Well, I do it for the most part. You're absolutely correct. The problem or the situation that I see is, most people don't know why they're angry. Mm. And why they lash out, and it's all fear-based. And we could get into another thing entirely, but it's all fear-based, and they don't know what they're actually doing, hence forgiveness and that kind of thing, which I'm learning to a great degree. It's sad. It's sad. It doesn't have to be that way, or it could be lessened to a great deal. So, yes, one-on-one is fine with me. 3-on-1, 4-on-1 on my boat, perfect. Phone calls, excellent, that kind of thing. Lofty goal. I never really looked at it that way. I suppose it is. I never looked at it that way. I just figured that was what I was put on earth to do. I don't know how that came about. I do in a way, but that's another big story entirely. So, yes, it's not all about fishing. It truly is not all about fishing.
Yeah, well,
wonderful life there.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. It's cool to see someone taking a passion, taking something that you've done really since you were a kid and using it just to unite people and bring people closer to God and to nature and just connecting more and getting away from just all the craziness that life seems to throw at our way every day. So that's awesome. Where can everyone go learn more about you as well? You said it's Connection Charters on Facebook. Is that right?
Correct. Shall I give a email and phone number as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Email is danl3205@yahoo.com. Or they can call me on the phone. I'm always a phone guy. Don't be afraid to call me. It's 609-412-9683. I'm always open. I will always get back to you. I always return calls. I will not leave you hanging. Give me a little bit of time, but right now I have time. So give me some time. I will definitely get back to you.
Excellent. Yeah, I would encourage anyone who's maybe just going through a tough time, you want to get out in the water, want to catch some fish, and also just have someone to talk to. I know even just being out in the boat with, friends and even somewhat new friends, it's crazy how people do open up. Maybe not right away. Maybe it takes a fish to come in the boat, but all of a sudden people start opening up and sharing what's on their hearts and fears and things that they're going through, regardless. If you're truly are trying to create something on your bucket list, meaning you've got not many years or months left, or if you're just going through a tough time and want to get some good fresh air, catch a few fish, and meet a new friend, definitely reach out to old Captain Danny.
Really appreciate it, man. It's been great. Thank you for allowing me to express this. This is really big. I'll be honest with you. It's very big for you to do this. I appreciate it a great deal. I really do.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate anyone, doing something that they love and following their own heart. And because it's not easy. I mean, what you're doing it's tough, right? Because the majority of fishing guys, right? You're trying to sell the fact that, hey, we're going to catch all these fish and you're going to come back with a cooler full of fish and you're selling something, different. And it truly is what most people need, which is, yeah.
I believe so. But I will tell you this, we do catch fish. We catch a lot of them. That's thanks to you guys. I mean, your Salt Strong stuff has been, and I want to do a plug here, but I'm going to anyway. It's a valued asset, a huge value asset. I mean, it was the best money I've ever spent for fishing, period.
Cool. I appreciate that, man.
No, it's the absolute truth. I'm telling you. It's short-timed everything, saved me thousands of dollars in the long run. I wish I ran into you guys years ago. It would have been great to save myself a ton of money and been on fish that much quicker. It's a great program. It really, truly is.
Well, I appreciate it. We're very blessed to have people like you there in the community. And if I can do anything to help out, let me know. Everyone, please go connect with Captain Danny there. If you are anywhere near that Inglewood, Lemon Bay, Placida, Port Charlotte area, definitely reach out to him. I know it would be a great time. And if we can do anything to help, hit us up. We're here. Captain Danny, appreciate it, brother. Be good.
Yes, you too. We will be talking in the future, I am sure. And thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, my friend.
All right, buddy. Take care.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was